How are you today? I feel like I need to scoot around
I know.
and
I'm like,
see you.
hello?
I need to see you. Hello. Hopefully I'm still in frame. We'll see.
No, but nobody's watching us anyways.
That's
They're just
it.
listening to our
They're
voices.
just listening. Although they should, because today I've got this exquisite piece of art.
Exquisite.
Can I talk about this piece of art
Would
for
you
just a
please?
minute?
Because it's just sitting here next to me. I want to just touch it, stroke it.
You can stroke it.
Like Vanna.
So this piece of art, it was really interesting. So we went to several art galleries with a client whose home this is going into actually next week. It's two guys, they're partners, and one of the partners just stopped in his tracks when he saw this piece of art, right?
I'm with him.
Slammed on the brakes, was like,
back it up.
I have to have this piece of art. And he looked at his partner for confirmation, and the other partner was like, really? And it was so interesting because I just stood there very quietly and listened. I know y'all are all shocked. And the partner who fell in love with it instantly started to say, we're building our first home together that's completely both of ours together from inception. And it feels like we're building a nest. And we each have our own kind of arteries wrapped around this nest. And when you look at this piece of art, it's kind of smacks of the shape of a house, right? Mm-hmm. And it has these kind of nesty vibe. And then you see these colored pieces that certainly could be interpreted as arteries and life-giving, right? And so the other partner that wasn't so keen on it all of a sudden was like, oh my gosh, I get it.
I see it. I didn't see it before.
And now I see it.
And now I can't unsee it. And now we have to have it.
And he felt it. And so
that is what art does.
It does. It does.
But I love that because often, and I don't know about you in your, all your married years with Tom and stuff, but sometimes I'll get really excited about seeing something and Matt will be maybe a little bit less impressed. And I'll just sort of go, okay, and continue on or whatever. And I just think that it spoke so much to the one that I like that he didn't kind of,
close himself off
or even just pretend he did, move on along. He explained the reason. And it really gives that and I'm seeing it differently now because I saw it earlier, but it was lower. And so I see a roof where I don't think I saw it. Anyways.
You can appreciate all the sides
this
of
artist,
it.
And then how you framed it.
And then the framing, right. Because we
did
have
to see this.
We had to do a little glam because if we didn't do the fillet in there that kind of had the champagne fillet, it sort of looked flat. Mm-hmm. And they have a little glam in their house in moments. And so it just lifted the whole piece of art. But I want to tell you about this artist. Her name is Ellen H. Ray. And the theme of a lot of her art are like trees and root systems and cellular structures. And she's really interested in exploring sort of the Earth's way of communicating and having structure. And that's really the theme of a lot of her pieces of work. She's a local artist and she's just a delight. And when I got to know her and sort of negotiate for this piece for our clients, I just really got a sense of her, and she's extraordinary. And so check her out, Ellen H. Ray.
And did you get this at Sawyer Yards? Is that where you
I did.
Okay. I thought, okay,
Yeah.
so she's at Sawyer Yards, which is
I think I forgot to mention that, but I told you that.
Place.
If you get a chance to go or in Houston visiting or living here, please go. They have all of the artists sort of showcase their things. I think is it the first Saturday of the month, or I forget.
I think first or third. One of
them.
It's the second.
Anyway,
it's the second. Okay.
It's the second.
We have no idea what we're talking about, but
right.
go.
But go. Look online and go. You'll be glad that you did. So that's this piece of art. And so
stunning.
So
I love that.
So excited. So what about a win? Do you have anything going?
I do. And it's funny because this did bring up a win for me, which is a house. So, I went and saw my folks last weekend, my dad and Nancy in Phoenix, which was really great. Total last minute trip. So while we were there, my dad and I spent a ton of time together and we talked about all kinds of things and places. He moved around a lot more than I did. And I thought I lived in a lot of places, but, something stirred in me one of the mornings. I was, just taking a shower and just was like, get in the car and go to see one particular house, 1206 West Clarendon. that was one that had a lot of memories for some reason. That's that house, that Miranda Lambert song. Anyways, so I go out and I go to ask Nancy, my stepmom, for the keys to the car, and I just start crying. No idea why. I was in the best mood. Nothing was in, and it just, something about that. And, of course, you give anybody a crying person anything. So she gives the keys, and I went, and it's, 40 minutes from where my parents live now, and drove over there. It was Sunday morning. I got there at like 9, and not paying attention to time, but I just pulled up, and the house looked so different than how it was the last time I saw it. Because Corey and I will go every once in a while.
Were you positive you were at the right place?
I had to drive up and drive back, like up the street. And I'm just like,
you had to
this
double
really
check.
is, because they have done, the last person who owned it, come to find out, was a landscape architect, which, let's just talk about that field for a
minute.
Wow, what a need. But I was hesitant. Should I go to the door? I've never done that before in all the years since we haven't lived there. Was trying to go to the door, and there was a peace sign on the door, like a wreath or whatever, but I swear it was like almost a kid did it, because I swear it was macaronis painted gold, and then a little Buddha. And I thought, okay, this is a house that will let me be in their house. And so the woman came to the door. She was in her pajamas, and I said, "Oh, don't even need to come inside. Just the backyard is all just something." She goes, "I get it. I've done it before." So they let me in, and it just, something about being on the premises and just floods of memories, and kind of peeked through the windows a little bit, saw the things that had not changed much as far as the layout. I mean, what do you do with 1,000 square feet? But it was special. And so that win was huge. I was like, I loved that moment of, that was a home that created so much
of who you are,
who I am, and watched my mom do her thing out of that house in so many different ways. And
so I'm curious,
cool.
When you left there, did you feel like it was complete, like you had gotten what you went for?
It did. I didn't even know what it was that I wanted. But as I drove away, and I did go by my grandparents' house, which is the most spectacular house I'd ever been in, and I am lucky to have gotten to grow up going there. But I drove there just on the way home, and it reminded me, like, that time in my life was probably the last time I was real innocent, before things just started, getting harder and going a little south. So maybe there was some beauty in just needing to feel that innocence again or something. Cause,
I love that.
Yeah, so anyway.
And then you shared with me, when you got home after that experience, Matt had somebody knock on the door of your home.
Yeah. So I'm sitting at the airport that same day, hadn't told him about this. And I get a text with a picture of a family in front of our house. And he said, "This guy just drove by today, and I was outside with Theo, and
the puppy, Theo, the puppy.
Sorry, Patrick, crazy dog." And the guy said he grew up in our house, and they were the ones who actually built it. And so Matt gave this family a tour, and I can't with the universe doing things like this every damn day, right? That just makes you go, what are we missing that we're not following through on our instincts to do? Because Matt's maybe not out front. He's not out front maybe twice a day, doing that with the dog. But those moments where you're like, I don't know.
Tom calls those moments, my husband calls those moments thin veils, where there's a very thin veil between who we are as humans and what's on the other side of the veil. That is more extraordinary than anything we ever consider, but it's always right there. And at times we can be so in tune that we get a chance to look behind that thin veil, and the universe reveals itself, or God, or whoever
your thing is, like
whatever it is.
Let that divine whatever share your veil, and pay attention to trust it. Yeah. Oh, I love that from Tom's.
I think also something that points to those two times when you wanted to see that home that was so meaningful, and that other family did as well, is what we do is so freaking important. And it is such an honor to be invited to be part of that process.
I couldn't have said it better. And I think, we so often, our clients don't do this when they think they wanted to, or they wait 12 years because they think it's going to be too much of an upheaval for the kids, or whatever the thing is. And it's so eye-opening to think that when, certain different houses, I can remember the tile grout size, from a bathroom that we lived in, or the way this door did this janky thing that, we had to do this to close it, or the better parts too, like not just, but it creates who we are, where we live from the very beginning. And so if you aren't happy as a parent living where you are living or it just translates, right?
It's exactly correct.
So if you can make changes.
I was going to say, if you're not in survival mode, if you're not just trying to make it to the next day, you're so right. Paint.
And we can paint ourselves. Like,
absolutely.
So it's a $50 gallon and it'll change change it. So anyways,
oil the door, change the doorknob, whatever it is.
That is, that kind of just makes that not, when you walk in, you only see that blemish, and so then you see the beauty.
Yeah,
you've created in there, your family. Anyway, so family's important in house.
It is, and we, my win is the weekend before Mother's Day, I went to LA and got to spend time with my youngest, and she is dating a young man who happens to be an architect. She is working on her master's in psychology in LA, and the win for me, the takeaway from me really was the quality of this particular human being that she has chosen to invite into her life for this time. We don't know how long, right? But you have those proud moments when your kids pick spectacular human beings. I don't know about you, but my kids, some of them sometimes have picked people that are not extraordinary. And
your kids are extraordinary.
Well,
so their partner should
thank you.
That.
Or just maybe humans that maybe are not in the best time of their lives or putting their best foot forward or whatever. And so I'm sure you've had this experience where they bring someone around, one of your extraordinary boys brings a girl around, and you're like, oh yeah, number one, this is what you deserve. And number two, she's an extraordinary person.
Yes.
And so that's a win for me.
Yes, there's a pride in watching, and I don't mean boastfully, but watching them with somebody who is that person. That it doesn't mean it's forever, but the choice that they both feed each other in a beautiful way. Josh has that, and it just, I watch it and I'm proud of both of them so much, because I'm like, no matter what, hopefully, whatever happens, this is your core. This is a level that you won't hopefully go backwards
below.
On.
Exactly.
You won't go lower than.
Once you've been treated that way, you won't accept anything else.
Exactly. Oh, I love that.
So it's a big
that's
win.
So cool, and especially right before Mother's Day.
It's a big
I know
win.
Mother's Day is so tricky because it's just like the one day, but
yeah,
the further you get away from like being a young mom, you really, it's not gifts. It's just time.
I just want to see
your.
I want to smell you and see your face.
Yes, just stand next to me, and that's it. And
that's it.
Yeah.
So. And then we bought her. I love this too. My mom heart exploded because we always spend a little time shopping and buy the things that she certainly can't right now. But she wanted new cowboy boots. She was going to the Beyonce concert, and girl, we bought her not one pair but two pair of bitchin', and I do mean bitchin' boots.
Okay, so where in LA do you get these sorts of boots? Because here we know where to go.
So I'm not really good about knowing. I think it was called Star Boots or Boot Star or something.
Oh, okay.
It was kind of in a really fancy part of LA, but they make their own boots, right? And so, girl, these boots, I cannot. They were made for walking, honey.
Oh my!
And then she wore them to. She wore the red pair. She chose the red pair to wear to Beyonce and sent a picture. But that she once, when she first moved away, she was sort of done with Texas, and they spread their wings, and I'm an LA girl, and now she's like, oh, I love my Texas roots.
And it's kind of cool because Beyonce's from Texas too, right? So like, they had their boot moment in LA.
She had a moment. Mm-hmm. Makes me very happy.
I dig that so much. So good. Okay.
So speaking of moments, today's episode.
Oh my God.
Here we are.
We are literally here to talk about moments in your house.
Yeah.
Not the moments you spend, but the small moments, small spaces that create moments.
Yeah.
that we want to talk about.
That's it.
Oh my God, segue for days.
That's
lady.
it for days and days. So if you are a baby designer, an experienced designer, a homeowner, or a home enthusiast, and you have spaces in your home that aren't quite operating the way you'd like them to, but you have a hobby or a need for a unique space, this podcast today is for you, and we're excited to have you join us.
Excited. We got some cool spaces to talk about. So
Some cool ones.
Okay, so let's start. Like, what moment pops into your head that you've gotten to create that's not the standard dining formal bedrooms?
The trifecta. I think one of the things that comes to my mind is when we moved into our new home last year, when we were sort of walking around and deciding how we would use some of the spaces. You know, first of all, your life is a little slower. You don't have kids running around anywhere.
Right.
Empty nester with 3 wiener dogs. We walked into the space that I think anyone would consider a home study or a home office. And my husband was like, we're going to put the desk right here and I just stood there for a second and I was like, except for in my studio, when is the last time I sat at a desk?
100%.
Like,
yeah.
Do you sit at a desk?
No, I sit in a chair with my laptop if I can.
With your legs crossed or on a pillow or whatever, and you have your laptop there. And I just couldn't imagine a desk in that space. And so I stood there very quietly for a moment. And of course, after 38 years, he knew I was
there was no desk
thought.
coming.
Yeah, I was giving it some thought.
Desk.
Yeah, there's no desk. I wonder what's going to be here. And I just told him, I said, Tom, we don't use a desk. I really think that this should be a library. And a library functions really different than a study. I mean, than a study or a home office, right? So we started to talk about what that would look like. And, we're getting older. We each needed individual sort of task lights that really light our pages. And I wanted a big overstuffed chair for myself. And of course, his, in this instance, would match. Because I have 3 wiener dogs that they just follow me around and they just pray for me to sit down. And wherever I sit, they want to be. And so within, 30 seconds, I've got 3 wieners in my lap. So I'll just let y'all sit with that for a minute. But anyway, and so I needed an extra large chair. And I wanted this gigantic ottoman that we could share and prop our feet
with
up.
3 wieners. I mean, you got a lot of stuff.
Got a lot going on. And then, of course, you need a space for lots and lots of books. We have tons of books. My husband is an avid reader. He reads about 14 books at a time in different stages, and they're piled up.
I never understood that. I now understand it.
Do you?
I don't have 14 right now, but I've got 4 going that I'm like, I love that I am now this person.
No.
But anyway, go on.
I start a book and I methodically read it from the front cover to the back cover.
If the book's that great and I just started one that could take the place of these others but otherwise they're just time fillers.
So he's got all kinds of books. They all have a highlighter and a pencil in them because that's how he reads books. And so we grew up, when the girls were growing up, we called books our friends. We would go to the library and find new friends. And so we have just so many books. And so anyway, that's kind of one of those moments in our home that I think when you walk in there, you would know a lot more about us.
Because of that room.
If you read titles on the spines of the books and you kind of saw how that room would set up, you would go, they spent time here.
And the way you have, of course, curated that room into totally your style. So, the brass heads, because they're not, of course, you're not going to have real deer heads. No shame on those people who do, but that's not your house. But you have these really cool, and one of it's got like the oracle. What are the oracle?
Spectacle.
One of those.
Is it the rabbit with the spectacle?
I
don't know.
And they're just so cute. But then you have frames. It's just done so well.
Thank you.
And I think I told you I was maybe drinking once and ordering stuff for Jake's dorm room last year.
And you thought you were ordering those?
Yeah. And I did. Miniature. So there's just like
You didn't read this. You didn't read the scale?
No. Didn't look at the picture looked like the size of yours. Anyhow.
And how big were they?
They were like those babies. And again, because
like
I
4x4s or something.
I think so.
So how many did you order?
Well, thank God I was drinking, because then I ordered 2 boxes instead of just 1. So then it did fill a wall.
Oh,
yeah. So I mean, it all. See, drinking must drink more.
Must drink
Works.
Note to self.
But it was hysterical. But I loved them. So I was like, oh, these are going to be fun in there, because Texas boy without any deer heads to hang himself. So anyway.
No. And of course, we do have clients who have deer heads and deer skins and horns and prized all the things.
Oh,
and
I just went back and forth with one that's in Dallas right now. And we've designed this whole wall with all the heads and kind of placed them just because size and all of that. And then he asked a question about, well, can't even remember which thing should be on the console. And I go, I am very sorry. I don't speak that.
I don't speak animal carcasses.
What are we speaking?
Taxidermy.
So then when you share it, I'm like, oh yeah, God no, you can't have, because it was like, I think it's a rabbit. Anyway, it had a face. I'm like, oh, you can't have anything with face on that thing. It's gonna be too.
No,
that needs to go somewhere else. That should hang. Anyways, but to that point, like we do it often. So it's it's
to each their own, and whatever you want in your house. So tell me about
moments.
A moment for you that sort of stands out in a home.
Well, I hate to piggyback on your library, but we did just install a library in a house that was
that one that's
set up so
that was
differently.
on your story on Insta.
Yes, and I can't wait. But that was the new home for this couple, and again, they are big readers, and there's home office already, so it's a similar thing. And so, but she wanted her space, and him too, like just that cozy. So they had this gorgeous, huge barreled ceiling in this room, and a couple windows. But we went tone on tone and did a whole wall of bookshelves and a velvet couch in front of it that matched the built-ins and matched the wall color.
And it's this green color that I cannot even talk about.
And it's that 4-hands Dylan sofa that's tufted and fabulous. And it's low scale, so you don't miss any of the books and stuff. And then brick lay on the ceiling. And then there's like so there's just, it's in art lights, the whole thing. That one was fun. And I think, and I didn't even notice until you said that about an office and a library combination, because that seems like the natural direction, like books in an office. But I don't want to look at a desk that's got my bills on it while I'm trying to enjoy this beautiful book in this space. And so to put a bookshelf in an office is still a great idea, but that wouldn't be a natural library spot, which we are not doing. But I kind of, as you were saying it, I'm like, well, of course that wouldn't make. Why would you?
I think that's what makes it a moment.
It is,
rather than just an obligatory space.
Yeah,
right.
It's an office, so we're going to put a built-in desk. We're going to add this, and we're going to do shelves above, and that's going to be.
And we're going to have a TV over here and a swing arm, just in case we want to watch whatever news channel during the day. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
And we do those too, but you can have both within
moment.
That's not a moment, and we need more than ever right now moments. We need departures from those reminders of what's actually
going on around us.
Yep. I think everybody can agree. Doesn't matter what that is. We just want moments.
That's
exactly. And so
I think you also shared with me about the lighting in that space and kind of how that came about.
Yeah, we were supposed to have, the lighting that was going to go in, and then this couple was coming over from India, and she had access to just, of course, everything we would want to put in.
Right.
So every room got thought about, and that one, because of the change in who's doing. Anyways, I let that fell apart. And so when we went in, and there was literally that, I swear it's probably Lowe's or Home Depot, there's the guy that's got the light bulb stuck to it. And we kind of laughed about
like a wire with a
essentially, right? It's just that casing and then the bulb out of it. And normally you would have a globe or a booby bulb around it, but it was just the bulb. But then the longer we were in there, and with that barreled ceiling, with that deep velvet, it felt like it was having it thing. So ordered a cooler light bulb, and that
just
went in and just kind of left. It's like you almost picture like going down into a subway, and there's this
library tucked off to the side.
Totally, it's a little chilly and whatever that feels like in that like buzzing light. So
I love it.
Yeah, so that was a fun one.
That's funny you said buzzing, because in my brain, the light that you described was buzzing.
It buzzes until it stops, right? That's what that kind of that anyway,
Yeah.
so that was a cool one. But
I love that. And the client, I'm sure, is thrilled.
they love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
and
one
he still
of
gets his
my
office, but
favorite things about you as a designer. You know, I respect you in all walks of life, in your philanthropy and as a wife and mother and friend. And but as a designer, you can tell that it has your stamp on it because it does not look brand new, shiny, and new. It looks storied and lived in, and
God, that is just
like the walls could talk. And that is how I know it's you.
that is about the nicest thing. I'm gonna jump over there and DH your leg, but because I feel when I look at your stuff, you find your clients moments, right? The leather rooms or the guitars
We
or the
try.
whatever that is, and I mean, you don't just lean. I mean, you go all for it. Like, I bet when your kids are playing sports, do you have bedazzled shit for their sports and stuff? Do you have the cap? Is everyone matching?
No, they were. I mean, they were when they were younger, but you know, you get worn out. You swear your own ass out, and you can't keep that
I know,
up,
but I love that you go all in for this people.
Yeah.
And that is your trademark.
Yeah,
So that's beautiful.
It really is. But I think that about you often.
That's
another moment that comes to mind for me is we had a client. She's still a friend, and I think she just bought up another place here in Houston that we are going to be doing in town. But she was our youngest client, 23 years old at the time.
Oh my God.
And she had bought this extraordinary estate. If I said her dad's name, you would know him. But she bought a sort of, I call it an estate. It was several acres and had this beautiful sort of ranch style house on it in the Katy area. And we gutted it, redid the whole thing. And a couple places that come to mind in that house are in the primary, there was a toilet room in right, like attached or as part of the primary bedroom. Then you went into this massive sitting room with a fireplace, and then you went into the primary bathroom.
Hence the toilet on the front end.
Right,
Because
you're not in the middle of the night. You're not walking 5 minutes to get to the water closet. That was the nice word that I couldn't think of. And so we actually took that space for her because she's young. She can walk all the way to the back, right, without any kind of emergency. She can hold it that long. And we turned it into a sauna. And so it was perfect.
Amazing.
I mean, just perfect that it did. And that was a moment for her. She wanted a sauna, and it was like, well, what if we did this?
This is amazing.
Yeah, because she's standing there going, I don't understand why there's a water closet right here in the primary. And I'm like, well, I do. That's right. That's right. Give it about 22 years and you're going to know.
And a couple kids and you might know.
You're going to know. It's funny you say that because she is, I think, 28 or 9 now and is pregnant with her second.
Oh,
so she going to know.
She going to know.
She going to know. But then another thing we did in that house for her is upstairs there was a media room. And there was a little side room off of that, which was just sort of interesting. Like it had windows. You just couldn't really put your finger on what in the world would this thing be.
Right.
So we're standing there and, you're thinking you just put doors on it and it's air conditioned storage, or you're not going to make it a playroom. She didn't have kids and she was 23. Right. So she just started talking. I was like, what do you do with your friends? And she mentioned hookah. And honey, the second she said that, all I could see, metallic, silk, printed,
brains on
all the things.
Fuego, like going to town.
Yeah. And these tied back drapes at the entrance and these floor pillows and all of the extraordinary things. And we created essentially what you can imagine a cozy hookah moment.
I can imagine it.
Yeah.
So in my head, I have a color, but I want you to, what's the color that you saturated? Because I know you saturated those walls.
So it might surprise you. So the color was actually a deep purple. And
I have raspberry. So, okay.
So
deep purple.
It was, so raspberry was the fabric that we used.
Oh.
That's where we started with raspberry.
I'm pretending I'm a, card reader and over here, and I'm like, I've probably seen it on Instagram, but
No, I don't think,
anyways, I don't know.
That
if
was
it's
before
anyway.
we did awesome, epic photography.
Well,
and we had some mustard yellow and gold in there. And we had,
feel it.
In the center of the room, we had this gorgeous textured black cocktail table that was and it was carved. And then we had these lanterns hanging over it at all different heights that were all different colors. I mean, girl, we went.
It was a hookah. I mean, that is it.
We went.
But the fact that you went that long ago too, and you layer, and you're so you got that stuff. And I think that is so fun when somebody is on board. Like, how often, I mean,
if a client will let you go there.
Let you go
and they don't
there.
run out of, well, it's not that they run out of money. They've never run out of money. If they don't get what I call check writing exhaustion.
Yeah.
Right.
Spending fatigue. Yep.
Spending fatigue. Yeah.
Cash.
You just get to where I just can't do this anymore.
Right.
Because something like that, do you know how many layers that take?
And that's the thing. You can't do that wrong. I mean, no.
You can't go halfway.
You can't go halfway. You could do it very wrong by just thinking one rug's going to do.
It's either we're going to do this, and we did. We layered the rugs.
You have to go all in, or just find it, or just
do something different. Make a
storage.
That's it. Climate controlled storage. That's exactly correct.
Oh, I love. I think a hookah room would be so much fun. I have to think about that because we do these right, where you've kind of create a music room now, which is such a fun, different moment because people are listening to vinyls differently or music very differently than it was for a while. But a hookah room, I'd like to experience something cool like that design
layered
aesthetic. And that kind of just totally departure. Yeah, to do a boutique hotel or something like that. Anyway,
have you done a music room for vinyl listening?
Yes, yes. Thank you for that's.
Thank you for asking.
Yes, I have.
So
I'm so appreciative that you've asked. Yeah, so it was supposed to be an office, and it kind of went a different way for the same reason. They were deciding we actually love. It was older couple, and they brought their media or their old vinyl or record player. Oh my God, what do they call it? Record player out with their old hooked it up to the receiver, so it did come out differently, and but did stuff different with the walls and lowered the ceiling a little bit because the acoustics. Sometimes it gets lost, and so we had to really think about some of those elements. I know you are really good at thinking about that stuff. Because sound
is big for me, but I have incredibly sensitive eyes and ears. And so that matters to me personally. So it's always in the front of my brain.
Completely with you. Sound is, I'm irritating with it actually. That will do something. I'm like, what was that?
He's
necessary?
3 rings over.
It was really quiet. I'm like, okay, no. But sound is, so I get that. And you want to hear something so beautifully. And I think that's why the vinyl record experience is so cool. Because you get the scratching and of the thing as it's starting. And I don't know. So
the very fine sound.
It is.
That you don't get over Sonos and your
unfortunately,
speakers.
You don't. And I love music. We
Me
both
too.
do. We have, every time I'm in here, you have to turn it off in here. But so, yeah, that was a cool vibe for sure. And a moment room because they're retired.
Do you know, I have to tell you, I just learned this last week, the end of last week. And so if you are a designer and you're listening to this, please don't judge me because we're still all learning. But I was in a bathroom for a walkthrough for plumbing rough-in. And in primary bathrooms, those should always be moments. That's the person who lives there. That's the person who pays the bills and the taxes. And that's where you start and end each day, right? And so I was standing there and we have a rain head in the shower, which is not unusual. But I all of a sudden looked up at the ceiling and I was like, wait a minute. This is a 12-foot ceiling and then it vaults to 17 or 18.
Where's that rain head?
I wonder how high can a rain head be where when the water hits you, you're not cold?
Yeah.
So I picked up the phone and called Ahmad at Ferguson, my rep, who I adore, and he answered right away. And I said, Ahmad, I need to know about this. Help me. And he was like, don't worry about it. You can always just put a long drop on it, kind of like a ceiling fan
Yeah.
arm. And it can come down as low as you want it. And I was like, but I don't want that. That's going to be ugly, you know? And so he said, all right, is your homeowner there? And I said, yes, he is. And he said, have him stand up against a wall and raise his hand as high as he can over his head and measure from the floor to the top of his fingertips. And he said, and I did that, and it was like, I don't know, 6'9" or something. He said, okay, then we need to have the bottom of the rain head at no higher than 7.5 feet from the floor, so that he's sure to have a warm. Did you know all this?
Only because a similar thing has happened and we had to go through the whole process. But I want to know what he did if you didn't want that long ass drop rain arm.
So we're dropping the ceiling in the shower.
Oh, okay.
We're dropping the ceiling in the shower to, I think, 9 feet. And then we're only going to have like a 1 foot rod.
Okay.
Because I want that to be a moment. And you know what? It doesn't need a high ceiling inside of there. And it works out perfectly. That's why walkthroughs are important.
They are huge. And I love that you had somebody to call, because we've talked about this so many times. Our vendors are our right hand
I can't.
man. I don't know what we would do without them. But I do think, let's just talk ceiling height for a minute.
Yeah.
I love a high ceiling. Feels nice to walk in. Why does all of them have to be so freaking high? I just don't think they all do. And I don't think it adds anything, and subtracts a lot of stuff sometimes. But people are just so obsessed with the high ceiling. And I
think we might be done with that.
I think
we're going back the other way.
I'm glad, because I'm bringing them down, and people kind of fight it. But I'm like, even I want to do a low entry ceiling, and then when you get in, and
it opens itself up,
something like that gives you this a moment, like not. I don't know. So I love that instead of the coming up or doing it, or
we're going to have this long arm hanging here. We're going to have the other thing that people have to understand with those high ceilings is you have to deal with lighting and sound.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you're willing to spend $100 million gabajillion dollars on your primary, secondary, tertiary floor, whatever lighting, and then floor to ceiling drapes and massive rugs and all the things that are going to make it so that feels like a home and not a hotel lobby.
And let's just talk drapes. If we're talking about investments or budgets, you get a drape made for a 15-foot window. Oh, no. I mean, people are, I think it too. I need to start making drapes. That is an expensive damn price
huge
every time.
You know what? In the install that we're doing next week, I think the drapes were like $120,000. And this house is 5,000 square feet. It's not 7,000 or 9,000 square feet. And these aren't very high ceilings.
But you've got probably 10 areas that you're doing stuff in.
Exactly.
And you're not doing this for less than 10,000.
And many of them are functional.
Yeah.
So you've got widths and widths and widths of drape. So let's just talk about drapes for 1 second, because they're a moment, right? It's like when you have a photo sitting on your desk and it's unframed. It's lovely. It's just kind of there, and it can warp and bend and move around. But then you've put a frame on that thing, and it has presence, and it's a focal point. That's what drapes do to a room.
Window. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I agree.
And they cost money because you have the fabric, the lining, you have the hardware, which is the rod, the rings, the brackets, the finials. Then you have labor. They have to come and measure. They have to come install and make them. It's like that is a huge ticket.
It is a huge ticket.
People don't understand.
And they make the biggest difference, though. And people try and go cheap and only do one
like
or two. It's and I love a full, I don't want, but then you have to be cognizant of, we've talked
your
about
view.
Putting it on. How much of the window you want to lose? You want it that full. It's an art. And
it really is.
And fabric is not getting any cheaper.
No.
But it makes such a difference. And if you do interesting
and how it makes the space feel.
Yes.
And so if you want to have a 15-foot ceiling, you have to be prepared.
So we've got a client, the one we're finishing up over, finishing up, and we had done drapes in their house only a year ago at their last house. And so they're beautiful and they're still relevant and all that, but their ceilings here are much higher. So, adding, I always do love to have something interesting at the bottom if it's sort of a clean, cleaner look or whatever. And so I was like, we can just add this to the bottom because I've done it before. and couldn't have imagined that it would have been a great deal more, than it was the last time. Well, it was. They had, and because I'm taking it to a better place, obviously, and so, than I did years past, but they completely remake the drapes, and so, yeah, double what we paid in another room for brand new.
Yep.
But we weren't buying the
because you
fabric.
undo and redo.
Because they had
just
to
like
undo and
remodeling, you're undoing and redoing.
And there's no savings there. Now they're going to be
Exquisite.
incredible.
Yeah. But it's also good for the environment. So there is
and
a win there.
I do agree completely. I do not love throwing things away if we don't have to. So they're going to be beautiful. But there's no savings if you're thinking, oh, I'll just add some fabric to the bottom, unless you do it at home, and you can. But anyway.
Right. Unless you're like that.
But those are moments. Yeah. Those drapes do create that, though, that feeling when you walk into somewhere. And I think they're forgotten because of cost. And so, yeah.
I agree with that. So we chased a drapery rabbit, but I'm glad we did.
And to all the drapery rooms around. Yeah. You're welcome.
So what's another room that you've created that you would be like, this is a moment?
So we did in that house, there was a home office. Poor home offices. They're getting the shit under the stick today. But they had this home office, and it was basically just a catch-all. And so they wanted something, more of a meditation, like a Zen room, very quiet room. And so we walled off one side and opened up from the bedroom into it, because shared a wall, but not an entry into the office. So then we were busted through, and we were going to do a really cool, like, two-sided fireplace one that kind of fed into the sitting room and then into the primary. But once they started opening, the couple just loved the feeling of the whole thing. And so, again, you're pivoting or twirling because you're like, this rolls down, process. And it is, and it's so fun. So we ended up moving the fireplace back against that back, and having this whole beautiful space allowed a little bit of, some relief on the walls. So we have some lighting that then carried in, but this gorgeous like blush velvet, like swivel chairs for them in the morning, and that's the coffee place, and gorgeous, the wallpaper and everything just was very soft. So there's a space for the yoga mat, but you're not seeing it from the bed because they're pretty, but they're not that pretty. And so, yeah, that was just that kind of area that we tried to replicate a little bit in this new house, because they loved it and used it so much, which is nice, because you were talking about the primary bathroom, which people don't give enough time to, I don't think, at all. And the bedroom is the second one. Sometimes can be the forgotten child. They want where the visitors come and see, but this is where you start and end every day. So that needs to be something special. And so if you have an opportunity for a sitting room.
Yeah. And I think one of the ways to identify spaces that are ripe for a moment in your home is square footage that you don't use. Like dining rooms, formal dining rooms are coming back. We're starting to see that a little bit. But if you have a formal dining room and you use it once every 2 years when it's your turn to host Christmas, and that room is, let's say, 12 by 12, it's probably bigger than that, but that's 144 square feet, and you're not using it, maybe that is a space where you can create a moment. And maybe puzzles are your thing and you need a puzzle table, or maybe you need a place to store all your knitting things.
I did a wrapping room years, and I mean wrapping room, and
like ribbons on a spool.
Exactly, and everything was that height where she could like do it, and it was just unbelievable and so fun.
And you're wrapping a lot more than one day a year.
You really are. And especially when the kids are young, you're doing it a lot. So, right? Because you're just always getting invited to some anyway. So, yes, to that point, because if you think about 144 square feet, that's the size of a small hotel room.
Yep.
And look what they did in there.
Yep. And a lot of times it just becomes a place to stack a bunch of your shit and walk by it, right? And pretend like you don't see it. It does make you sad.
It does. And it's a waste of space, and in a house that you're in.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
you're already there.
Times that you want to be together with family that's not in front of the TV, which, again, that's family time too. But, don't let a TV be in this room, maybe.
Do something, and maybe no phones in that room.
Maybe that's
oh my God,
a rule. Cut the cell service off.
Right, in that room.
Oh my God, I love that. I'm going to go make that
today. Me
too.
Another room that we've done recently, again, this install we're doing next week, and I've talked about it a couple times because it caught me so off guard at first, but we have clients that they tool leather.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have created a leather room. And if you can imagine, there's going to be just racks of bars on one whole wall that's going to have hides just hanging down. So I want you to imagine what that's going to smell like.
Oh, the smell's
right?
going to be
And so amazing. And we drenched that room in this gorgeous green, sort of not an army green, but an olive green, but better. I don't know. And then there's this gorgeous table in the middle that cranks up and down so that it can be raised for either tooling leather, or when it's lowered, we have really cool bar stools going around it, because they said in their last house and their little leather nook that they had there that people would gather in that room. And I think it's the smell and the tools that are laying around. And then that led us to do a wraparound bar. So the bar wraps around from the living room and turns a corner into the leather room. So you see it from both places.
I love that.
And we changed the depth there
wait.
so that it would work, because on the living room side, it's only like 10 inches deep, because that's what we had. We worked it into the staircase, right? And so again, a moment. We're going to create a moment.
And I think that is so important to say, that I think sometimes people get in there like, counter or 24 inch, whatever things are, or thinking everything has to, the rules. Let's break the damn rules in design. If we're not doing it there, we're not.
That's exactly correct.
It's so exciting to hear. I'm probably more excited at this point than you to install this, because I know right now you're just
I'm a little tired.
Getting everything dialed in. But I love and have been.
I can't wait. I think I'm going to invite, I know the client would be so happy, but invite the design bitches to come over, and they make a mean spicy margarita.
Oh, we're coming.
And I just know that they would love it. The pool has 2 sides, have a vanishing edge, the hot tub into the pool. I mean, there's so much that's so exquisite about this, and I'm excited about it. And we've hired the best, Julie Sofer is going to come shoot this one for us, and we're excited about this project.
That's exciting, and that's next week.
A leather room,
which is funny, because when you first thought it was like a.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a whole.
I mean,
podcast.
when I just saw on the plans leather room, I just was like, I was so uncomfortable. I was like, well,
says the lady who said 3 wieners on your lap, and then like, let's take a moment to think that, absorb it. I'm just saying. I mean, I don't.
You don't feel sorry for me?
I'm not. If it wasn't on the same damn podcast, I'd let that one slide. But
yeah, but you're not letting this
like
one
18
slide.
minutes ago. Because I've still got 3 anyway.
Yeah,
wieners on the brain.
You're gonna have to let that go.
Oh my God. So then, okay, so whether you've done them or not, or we're seeing them, but. Wellness is such a huge having such a time right now, which makes me incredibly happy. And so whether it's a yoga room or cold plunge or the sauna or the whole thing, just in those spaces when maybe it's not in the front, because dining rooms are normally in the front of the house, so if maybe that's not the place, or maybe it is. Who cares what people think when they walk in?
The leather room's in the front of the house.
Well, that's a but. Maybe not a bikini out of a cold plunge, but you could just, that also doesn't have to open. And there's just so many things that you can do.
Make it spectacular.
Make it for you and what you
Mm-hmm.
love. And so.
I agree.
I don't know. I think, open concept had a time, and now let's close up some of those walls maybe, or just really do something a little bit
or
different.
Hang drapes along an entrance of a wall where they just slightly pull back or something. It doesn't have to be a huge construction project.
That's a good point. Yeah.
To create a softer, different space, or shears across an entrance to a room, or all of these suggested divisions. And I think we're starting to see those because of COVID. I will only whisper COVID because I'm so over it. But I think that the pandemic really caused us to think about, when we all have these open spaces, we don't have these moments in our home. And since we're cocooning and we're going back to the importance of home,
why not have?
You don't have to move.
You don't have to move. And you're right. You don't have to do. I'm always like, construction, let's put a wall up or take a wall down, whatever. But you're right. It doesn't have to.
That's what I want to do.
But because in there's spaces where we've had to hang it from the ceiling because there are no places for the rods and that kind of thing. So there's opportunities everywhere. And we had a guest on a previous podcast. Oh, sorry.
Words are hard.
Words are hard. The English ones really
They're
get
hard.
me sometimes. The big ones, previous podcast. But Levi, and he can create, so some of those things that dividers or whatever, what we're not even thinking about, right?
That you can't, and I'm sure he's made.
He
and
can
be
make.
like,
so it's just like it goes on for days.
Yeah.
What we could do, but
this
I
has been
loved
so
this one. I did.
fun.
Gosh, we both decided at the same time.
We could talk about this for how long?
A lot, because I think there's just so many times that we've gotten to see it or do it or want to do it. We fantasize a lot, right, about what we could do in places. So
yeah, and the sky's the limit. So
it is so
much fun.
I know, reframing those spaces, man.
Reframing those spaces. So just a reminder, if you do have unused square footage in your home, no matter where it is, if it's on a landing or if it's in a side room or something, rethink how you'd like to spend your time. Reframe how you think about that space in your house and create something really cool.
I totally agree. Yeah. And if it's what we hear a lot is people are like, I never would have thought of that. And even in our own houses, I mean, you walked into this house and felt it immediately. But had you been there for 10 years before, you might have just always
I could have had you over and you could have seen it
and I would have seen
differently.
it. So that's the point. Like, don't beat yourself up either if you just think there's not a space in your house. That's, call a designer. But if that's not your budget, call a friend and see what they might do.
That's it. Have a powwow over a glass of wine and decide how you could reframe your space. But thank you so much for joining us. If you'd like to say anything to us about this episode or give us ideas of something you'd like to hear us talk about, please message us or email us at hello@reframingdesign.com. Or you can follow me on Instagram at Rainey Richardson Interiors.
And I am Cassandra_brand_interiors. And if you want to have your art behind us and have us tell your beautiful story of how you've created it, we'd love for you to share and email us at hello@reframingdesign.com. And we'd love to put it back here. So
absolutely, wherever you get your podcasts, like us, subscribe, share, all of the things, because that's what keeps us doing what we're doing. And until next time,
love you.
I love you more. Mwah.
Mwah.
Are we good?
Definitely, probably is.
You want to start, just clap so that way they know.
Okay. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Just some reminders because I forget what the fuck we're supposed to talk about. Oh, sorry, I said fuck.
That's okay. So tell me, which moment sticks out for you just off the top of your head?
So I think you need to restart that question because I just burped into the microphone.
I don't think we need to restart it whatsoever. I think that is the moment. That's
okay. Go. Sorry.